Go ahead, Mike.
Fire and life safety section has been, people look at it as like, hey, it's prevention, community risk reduction. But I will tell you that from my career, most of the time, it's been how do we help our firefighters and how do we keep them safe? The amount of knowledge that our typical fire prevention fire folks are doing and how it can affect their operations is just astronomical. And I think the section, originally came out when FLSS became a section, dedicated people on codes and standards. And that's what I jumped into. And that was our focus, codes and standards. And over the years, we've just changed into now a community risk reduction. We are handling things like the home oxygen therapy fire situation. And it has become this very broad thing. And I know, Ray, for me, it took somebody saying change happens by those who show up.
Yeah, I think that's right. In fact, Chief O'Brien recruited me in 2010 and said, "You're a 5 Bugle chief. You should come join this organization." And I'm like, "Well, I'm from Iowa. I'm the small fire chief in a small town." And but we had big problems too. We had a large corporation move into our community that built a $320 million ethanol plant that way outkicked our fire department coverage. And they had storage of cornstalk bales. You wouldn't think that's a big problem, but they burnt for 5 months when these stacks caught on fire. And we didn't know how to deal with 20,000, 40,000 bales burning for 5 months. So with Chief O'Brien and some experts like Bob Davidson,
and Bob,
I actually got on the FCAC because I was a member of the Fire and Life Safety Section, the Fire Code Action Committee, and we wrote the fire code for biomass storage that is now in the code. So,
but see, so many people think that making changes to codes is hard. And you were there, you had experience, you were willing to speak up. And that's where I think the power of the IAFC is, right? It's when our members, when we can get them engaged, like you, and you were willing to be brave enough to say, hey, I got this issue. Because on the surface, I don't think corn bale fires are a leading cause of fire.
Right.
But we found out very quickly it was a huge issue.
Yeah, it really spoke to the whole renewable fuels industry and some control and some guardrails as they were growing. The other thing I think is interesting, one of my more joyous experiences is leading the working group on Valley Trash. That's a service where they put their garbage in anything out in the hallway. And so we worked with the groups for and against it because you're not putting that genie back in the bottle. And that's one of the things I find with the Fire and Life Safety section is we're dealing with emerging threats that are happening and helping to define. There were no rules in place for how trash. You could put your garbage in a trash bag in the middle of the hallway, and there was nobody but the local fire marshal having to fight that battle all over the country. And so to be able to put some guardrails and put some fire safety into it, I think it's now in the appendix, and it was really fun to be involved in code development. But more importantly, I remember when they were selling $5 smoke alarms that weren't listed on large internet service.
Online purchasing company.
Right.
Yeah.
And so our section wrote a letter to that entity and said, this is not how you do this. It's not legal. And that entity, which is huge, said, oh, we're sorry, we didn't know. And so I think about the impact that would have had to put non-listed products into a home in all of our homes across the country.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Ray, I know you and I team taught at Fire Rescue International in Chicago. Do you remember what year?
2010.
2010. Do you remember what we talked about?
We talked about community risk reduction and prevention.
Yeah.
And upcoming threats. I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then a year after that, I got involved in the IAFC and I spoke at FRI, and Mike O'Brien spoke about lithium-ion batteries right across from my room. And so I had like 5 people in my class, and you had like standing room only.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, he got the latest emerging threat. But no, we've been really good friends. And I will tell you, the IFC has been important to me. I've been a member of NASFM as a former state fire marshal.
What's NASFM? National Association.
National Association of State Fire Marshals.
Yeah.
That's a good question. You caught me off guard.
Yeah.
No, great group, great people and stuff. But like here, the membership, you go. this is where they make leaders. And to think I'm speaking on a national scale about home oxygen fires and leading the efforts because of 2 fires that happened in my community really just blows your mind, because I do joke about it. I'm from a small Iowa fire department, and I'm here.
But okay, so you got involved and you're a small department, but you have multiple members, right? You've got some up and comers that are IFC members. I think one of them's here at this conference.
Yes.
So as a chief, why, every day I see the value of what IFC does to making our jobs better at Brighton, right? I think the exposure my staff gets at FRI, CRR, work groups, committees, that exposure translates every day. And I think my leaders, my board understands that. They're expecting us to be progressive leaders that are on top of topics. And we get that by being involved in the IFC. I don't care if it's as a member, on a committee, doing work, but so I'm guessing my budget's a little easier than yours.
It's probably a little larger than mine.
So you're a very typical fire department, 20, 30 firefighters. Why are you bringing them here? Out of all the things you could send them to, why did you choose that?
Well, I think the first thing it starts with is leadership. IFC has taught me how to be a leader, and I think that's important. My department has 45 members, 19 are female. I would say probably not too many fire departments have a 34% female ratio of firefighters, and I think it's taught me to think differently. I've learned that if you hire good people, you can teach them how to be a firefighter. You can teach them. And so we have a support operations team that deals with emerging threats of firefighter cancer. So we've created a process on the fire ground where our support operations team, they come at you with wet wipes and hydration and baby aspirin and all kinds of stuff when you come out of the fire ground. And I just think that's cutting edge. Before I started sending people to the conference, they thought I was some fire wizard. Like, how did I know about roll your own cigarettes and CSST? And so I was like the leader of all that knowledge, and that made me valuable. And I've kind of learned that if you share that knowledge, you make your whole organization fire wizards, so to speak.
Let's talk a little bit about what do you see coming up that fire life safety is going to have to get involved, roll up the sleeves and tackle in the next 2 to 5 years.
Well, I can tell you data centers is the big topic.
Yeah.
I watched it on the news, the amount of water and energy, and I just saw a story today that the environment around data centers is usually up to 5 degrees warmer, which impacts the neighboring community's resources and comfort and utilities. And so I think one thing that I really appreciate with Chief O'Brien is he is, in my opinion, the leading expert on lithium-ion batteries. And to educate the fire service on emerging threats is so critical, because they're building data centers in places like Red Oak, Iowa, and stuff like that, where people see it as development. And there's an awful lot of things being bannered under the banner of affordable housing or economic development that are just way outside the scope of what our fire departments can handle.
Yeah, and I think we are being charged to think differently. I think as leaders, it's easy for us to be chasing fires. It's easy for us to be chasing the hot topic. And we are dealing with data centers that are going to change the power source that the fire service isn't used to. When you start to think about switching from AC to DC current, most of us can't articulate it. We can't tell you what the hazards are going to be, and our codes and standards sure as heck don't grasp it. And so I would say that we will always have these emerging technologies and changes. We've got propane going in large amounts, or want to be in 2030 for our refrigeration in our built environment. And putting a flammable gas on a building has a lot of prevention and operational concerns. And I would just go, we will continue in the next 2 or 3 years. I think AI, ChatGPT is changing how people get information and the people that we serve. And so we are going to have to make sure our fire service is equipped and able to really do their jobs well because of our public is asking some of the toughest questions now. And so it's taken an assault on codes and standards. Why do we need to update? But, something that is so fascinating, I think we see it all the time, is we need current codes. I need your town to be on the 2024 fire code. I need the building department to be up there because it solves so many of the pressing issues. We've addressed them.
Yep.
And so many communities are just afraid, or they're getting pushback on that adoption. And so if the federal government starts jumping into our codes and standards, but modifying certain sections without seeing the impact from the really smart people, that's the part we're going to have to keep advocating. And so I see FLSS taking that knowledge, leading. It doesn't mean we have all the experts, but we're willing to get them in the room and get those data center people, get those people with flammable refrigerants, and have real conversations, not only from codes and standards, firefighter safety, community impact.
Yeah, I think one of the things you bring up that's really important, Lorraine Carley talked about it, was the assault on safety. If safety and prevention are invisible, they're the first that get chopped, they're the first to go away. And we see that in our state as our legislators are developing fire codes. They have no knowledge, no experience in that, but the influence and the folks behind those changes are really pushing in a direction. In a time where we're talking about property tax cuts to general funds, in Iowa, they just capped general fund growth by 2%. Well, libraries, parks, fire department, and police are the people that use up general funds. So in my already slim budget, I'm worried about how we're going to function and still defend our ability to protect our public, because it's a challenging environment to be a fire chief and to be a leader. And I think it's also a great opportunity because those who are willing to lead and be a part of organizations like the Fire and Life Safety Section or the International Association of Fire Chiefs in general, I think you're going to learn how to be a leader and manage in these difficult times, and that's critical for anyone.
Yeah. 30-second, why should ISC members join Fire Life Safety?
I think for me, it was I had no visibility as a small remote fire chief of the things that would affect my community until I got into CSST. Perfect example, lightning strikes that would cause fires and gas tubing. Didn't know anything about it. I saw it happening. Didn't know anybody else knew about it. I thought I was a one-off. And so by joining the IAFC, I've learned a lot about the fire code. I've learned about community risk reduction. And honestly, I say it a lot, is here to make leaders.
I would say that if I'm a fire chief who came up on the operations side, so we have fire chiefs that make chief of department, they came up ops, maybe they came through EMS, maybe they came through fire prevention. 50% of a modern progressive fire chief's job description is dealing with managing community risk.
Yeah.
It's not about big red fire trucks. I mean, it is, but that is so easy. Our communities are looking for leaders who understand the complete picture. They need them to understand where codes and standards and how it impacts. They need them to understand and be able to articulate why updating a fire code and what it does. And so fire chiefs, up and coming lieutenants, company officers who are part of IFC, they need to check that box for Fire and Life Safety Section. It is what is developing progressive leaders. We're getting them the information because our members they are on the tip of the spear of so many vexing issues that are affecting the fire service. And that's what this section is doing. We are tackling issues before they hit ops, and the ability to understand community risk reduction, the ability to understand codes and standards is just an overlooked thing that so many of the fire service has, but they're struggling with issues we addressed 3 years ago in developing codes and standards. And so we want to equip them in joining the section. I believe helps up and coming leaders and existing fire chiefs it's going to round out who they are.
Well, and for the record, we both love riding fire trucks. We both love operations.
Absolutely.
But that 5% of the piece is just a small focus for the fire service in general. And the battles that we will be facing in the future are really what's going to test the mettle of the fire service.
Yeah. Yep.